No degree, no salary waiting for him. He spent the night in jail for unpaid parking tickets. He literally ran from the police station to make the interview. And he walked in still wearing the clothes that he had been arrested in, with paint on his shirt, with no jacket, no tie, and he got the job. It wasn't because he had the best resume in the room, but it was because he was the most influential person in the room, and those are two completely different things. In this video, I'm breaking down the exact scene from The Pursuit of Happiness, where Will Smith's character, Chris Gardner, walks in with every disadvantage imaginable and controls the room from the very first sentence. And I'm going to show you exactly how he did it. And I don't mean the surface level fluff, not the feel-good Hollywood bullshit, the actual psychological mechanics underneath it, because this isn't just a movie lesson. This is an influence masterclass. And once you see what's actually happening, you will never walk into a high-stakes room the same way again. Now, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Christian Jack. I closed over $100 million in deals in my first 4 years in sales, invested over $1 million into learning sales, psychology, persuasion, influence, behavior profiling, everything you can think of. And in that process, I realized two main problems. Number one, either the information was so old that it was too philosophical to actually be tactical, or it was so new but buried in these clinical studies that nobody who just wants to make more money tomorrow or whatever you want to do in your life actually wants to read. So I have made it my mission to simplify and demystify all of the material out there about influence and break it down in a way that is simple and that actually transfers. And this video is that. Hey, I'm running a free masterclass on April 3rd at 4 p.m. EST inside of my school group on the signal that you're already sending. If you're saying all the right things, but they're just not landing for whatever reason, it's likely the signal that you're sending underneath all of the words, and it could be why your marketing isn't hitting, why your content isn't hitting, why your leadership conversations aren't hitting the way that they should. You could be saying all the right things, but if you're broadcasting the wrong unconscious signal underneath it, then you're going to be getting all the wrong outcomes. So if you'd like to make sure that that's not happening for you, as well as how to spot it in other people and potentially shift it for yourself and others, comment the word influence and I'll send you the free invites to join the masterclass. Again, it is on April 3rd at 4 p.m. EST. I'll see you there. Now, the first thing that Chris does in that room is not what anyone expects. He does not pitch himself. He does not justify why he looks the way he does. He opens by telling them exactly what he's been doing for the last 30 minutes with a story. He says he's been sitting outside trying to come up with a story that would make this look, better than it is. Something that would show earnestness and diligence, team playing. And then he says,
and I couldn't think of anything. I was arrested for failure to pay parking tickets. And I ran all the way here from the police station.
Now, think about what just happened. He named the thing that they were all already looking at, the paint-covered shirt, the missing jacket and tie, the fact that he looked, as they later put it, like a garbage man. And he put it all on the table himself before anyone else could even ask, before anyone could use it against him. And here's the psychological truth underneath that move. When you admit the flaw before they can find it, you take away their ammunition. There's nothing left to attack. But more than that, radical honesty delivered without shame reads as someone who has nothing to hide. And nothing to hide means nothing to fear. And the brain does not just tolerate that for a few more moments. It gives it your complete trust. Now watch something even more subtle than the words. Watch his body while he's saying all of this. He tells them that he was arrested. He tells them that he ran here from the police station, but his voice never breaks. His energy doesn't spike. He stays completely regulated. And here's the thing that most people miss. Your nervous system is contagious. If you are anxious, the people across from you start feeling anxious. But if you're calm, then they feel calm. And calm reads as authority because panic signals danger. Calm signals that everything is completely under control. So he walked in with objectively the most chaotic morning that a person can have, arrested in yesterday's clothes, out of breath from running, and he set the emotional temperature of that room before he said a single word about the job, and the room took their cue from him. Not from the situation, from him. Now there's a moment in this scene that most people just blow right past. One of the interviewers looks at Jay and says,
Jay says you're pretty determined.
Oh, he's been waiting outside the front of the building with some 40-pound gizmo for over a month.
He said you're smart.
Chris doesn't add to it. He doesn't nod along enthusiastically. He doesn't pile on more credentials. He receives it simply and moves forward. And this is the difference between self-promotion and positioning. Because when you tell people how good you are, the brain automatically activates skepticism. When somebody they already trust tells them how good you are, the brain activates belief. See, Chris had been showing up outside that building for a month with heavy equipment, grinding in plain sight, and Jay saw it and he spoke for him. The most credible thing that Chris could do in that moment was just let it land. And silence after a validation is far more powerful than anything that you could add to it. Now, this is the most important moment in the entire scene. 2 sentences.
I'm the type of person, if you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I'm gonna tell you that I don't know. But I bet you what, I know how to find the answer, and I will find the answer. Is that fair enough?
Listen back to that again.
I'm the type of person, if you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I'm gonna tell you that I don't know. But I bet you what, I know how to find the answer, and I will find the answer. Is that fair enough?
That is not a skill statement. That is an identity declaration. He's not telling him what he knows. He's telling them what kind of person he is. And there is a massive difference, right? Skills can be questioned, tested, and challenged. Character is much harder to argue with. I am the type of person blank. And those 5 words will do something that no resume ever could. They shift the conversation from a credential evaluation to a character assessment. And people don't hire credentials. They hire people that they actually trust. Anybody who's high level understands that, because notice the pause before I bet you what as well. That pause wasn't accidental. The brain leans in before a sentence finishes. Whatever lands after a deliberate pause hits harder than anything delivered at normal speed. Silence is a delivery mechanism. Now, midway through, one of the interviewers throws something at him that has nothing to do with the job.
What would you say if a guy walked in for an interview without a shirt on?
His answer.
He must have had on some really nice pants.
And the entire room just breaks out laughing, and he wins. Now, here's what actually happened in that moment. He didn't try to answer the question. He elevated above it, right? And humor, as an example, under real pressure is one of the most powerful status signals that exists, because you can only be funny when you're not threatened. You can only access that bandwidth when your nervous system is regulated. The laughter in that room wasn't just enjoyment. It was everyone's involuntary acknowledgement that this person just did something rare. He did not just survive the pressure, but he thrived in it. Now, when Jay pulls him aside afterwards and he says to him,
I don't know how you did it dressed as a garbage man, but you really pulled it off.
he doesn't exhale visibly. He doesn't spike emotionally. He doesn't let the relief show, but he just stays calm and full of gratitude. And this is more important than most people realize. The way that you receive validation tells the room whether you expected it. When influential people get validated, right, they receive it with stillness, because to them it's just confirmation, not a surprise. And so the spike is what gives away that you weren't sure, whereas stillness is what says, I already knew. And then the scene takes a turn, right? Jay pulls him aside afterward and tells him that there's no salary, commission only. And Chris's situation is not one that can absorb that, so he hesitates. He says his circumstances have changed. He says he needs to be certain he'll be able to, and then he stops. He doesn't beg, he doesn't manufacture urgency, he doesn't collapse his frame either. He simply tells the truth about where he is. And Jay, who's gone to bat for this man for over a month, tells him what backing out now would cost him. Like, you know what that'll look like to the partners? And Chris says, yes. He mirrors the exact language. He aligns completely. He becomes with Jay instead of against him. And in that moment, that social bond, that social alliance is completely sealed. Not because he impressed anyone, but because he made Jay feel like they were on the same team. See, people don't go to bat for candidates. They go to bat for people they're allied with. And Chris built that alliance not through some cheap performance, but through raw honesty over and over again, through showing up every day for a month with 40 pounds of equipment, and through never once making Jay regret believing in him. Now, here is the truth underneath all of this. Chris Gardner did not win that room because he was the most qualified person to do it. He won it because he was the most grounded, the most honest, the most emotionally regulated, the most clear about who he was. And those things, not the resume, not the credentials, not even the performance, those are what actually move rooms. And if you've ever been the most qualified person and still watched someone else get chosen, this is why. It wasn't a gap in your knowledge. It was a gap in how you were communicating. And that gap is exactly what we close inside of the game of influence. Every room, every conversation where the outcome matters. Now, if this was useful, and I mean genuinely useful, subscribe. Because multiple times every single week, I'm breaking down the most influential moments in modern communication and showing you the exact architecture beneath all of them. And if you want to go deeper into the rabbit hole, the link to join the game of influence on School for free is in the description. No pressure, no pitch, but the right people will recognize it when they see it. I'll see you inside.